What's going on, guys? It's Angel. I'm here with a video I wanted to talk about. I kind of reviewed, or not reviewed, but I looked over my entire life and I thought about how big of a factor professional wrestling played in it. And I just want to talk about what it's like to be a wrestling fan, and how I feel, it's obviously different from being a normal person, how what life is like being a wrestling fan, what it's like for me, how it's impacted me, and how it impacts others, I believe. So I'll go ahead and get down to it. As a lot of you know, I've been watching wrestling for 14 years, ever since I was 4 years old. I remember started watching it in 2000, and the first four guys I could ever remember seeing were The Rock, Kurt Angle, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Rikishi. And so I know I was watching around 2000 that time because you had The Rock as the champion and Kurt Angle the number one contender. This is where he would eventually become the man. And you had the whole I did it for The Rock angle with Rikishi and Stone Cold after it was revealed that Rikishi ran him over. Uh, and this is kind of like where I wish I was like, or once again I wish I was like 5 years or no, like 10 years old at that time. So I wish I was born 5 years earlier because WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania that happened while I was watching it, while I was watching wrestling was WrestleMania 2001 X7 at the Astrodome here in Houston, just about 20 minutes away from here. And I didn't watch it on pay per view, of course. But see, the thing is, when you're a kid, you don't really think about that kind of stuff, especially at that young age, like 5 years old. And so, yeah, if anything, I think I was like in my room playing with my toys while WrestleMania was happening. But and it's not this room either. The room my mom is in right now. But the first pay per view I remember seeing on VHS was No Way Out 2001. I saw it in like the mid or later part of 2001. My mom would always go to Blockbuster to rent movies, and she would take me too and let me pick out some movies. And I used to always look at the wrestling VHSs. Uh, and that's the VHS. That's the old school shit right there. But yeah, and I watched a lot of VHSs from Blockbuster. WrestleMania 15, Rumble 2000, Rumble 2001, No Mercy 2000, King of the Ring 2001. A lot of VHSs. And elementary school, I was pretty open about being a wrestling fan. Yes, definitely. And once again, that plays out the factor of how wrestling impacts you as a kid. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys used to do this, but we would make like the belts out of cardboard. We would wrestle on the trampoline. Sometimes pretend to be a superstar, and then like be our own superstar with our own entrance theme. It's pretty fun. Wrestling has a big impact on people. You see, I can't imagine what my life would be without professional wrestling. And I'm not just talking about WWE. There's so many promotions. You got WWE, TNA. Those are like the two main ones. Then you got your indie promotions. You got ROH, CZW, NJPW. But it doesn't matter what you're a fan of as long as you enjoy what you see. And wrestling even has a bigger impact on little kids. Let me tell you something. When I was a little kid, the first time I ever got in trouble for doing the middle finger was in second grade. And we all know which wrestler I learned that from. And then, I kind of got in trouble with it a little more. Whenever my cousins would make me mad, I'd give them the finger and my mom would whoop my ass. And then, I remember one time in third grade, I was giving the finger to my friend as a joke, and I saw that it was at recess, and I saw that my teacher looked at me, and I kind of got that scared ass face. So when we got in line, I'm like looking down, and my teacher walked over to me. He's like, "Did I just see you do what I think you just did?" I'm like, "I'm sorry." He's like, "Was that was that disrespectful?" I'm like, "I'm sorry," and then he just walked away. And my teacher and my mom and my dad, they would all get at me like, "Where the fuck did you learn that?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, okay? I saw Stone Cold Steve Austin do it, and I thought I could do it too." You see, and of course, the thing about wrestling being real, of course, when you're a kid, it's okay to think that wrestling is completely real. It's all good. It's that's a good thing. But and and as for my favorite wrestler, when I started watching, it was I'll admit I was a Rock fan, but the two that I liked more than him were Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kurt Angle. Uh, and so, and that's the thing is that Kurt Angle was always, well, most of the time was a heel, and so I was always cheering him. I've for some reason always cheered him, and I would like almost boo every other heel. But when it was Kurt Angle, it was like no, I like that guy. But it was like, and and in my mind I'm thinking, man, what are people gonna think of me being a fan of a bad guy? But as I got older, I realized that that's not a bad thing to be a fan of a heel in professional wrestling. And I used to get mad when the crowd would chant, "You suck." I'm like, come on, this guy doesn't suck. He's awesome. But I realized it's a tradition because it sounds like it goes along with the theme song, so it's funny. And let's see. First pay per view I watched live as it happened was Survivor Series 2002. Watched it at my dad's, and that was when Shawn Michaels won the world title, and later on he'd become my all-time favorite wrestler. Before he came back in 2002, my dad would show me some of the old VHSs and DVDs that he had, and a lot of them had Shawn Michaels on them, and I was like, damn, this guy can really do some good shit in the ring. And and I started to like him, and when he came back in 2002, that was a cool thing. And first pay per view I remember, or no, first WrestleMania I remember seeing was WrestleMania 19. That was the first one I saw live as it happened. Uh, Pretty good pay per view. Possibly the best WrestleMania ever. That's tied at number one for me, along with X7. But then later on that year, I went to Bad Blood 2003, and that was awesome. Being 7 years old at your very first event, I mean, it is just an amazing feeling. I've got to tell you that. And like I said, a lot of my friends were into wrestling in elementary school, and we always talk about it. We would always, because we always thought it was real, so there we'd always have deep discussions about it and such. And I remember when, and then next thing you know, we kind of transitioned over into middle school. I remember in middle school, what's it called? I found a few more people that were wrestling fans. And I would tell them that I like it too, and they asked me, "Who's your favorite?" I was like, "Well, I like a lot of guys. I like Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Edge, John Cena. I was a bigger Cena fan back then than I am now, but and also Jeff Hardy. And that's the thing about favorite wrestlers. Not everyone's gonna have the same favorite wrestler, but I think that's okay. That makes us all unique in a different way. And we don't always have the same opinion, but we gotta at least respect those opinions. Um, your favorite wrestler could be anybody that you grew up off of. If you grew up in the 80s, it could be Hulk Hogan. If you grew up in the mid 90s, it could be Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels. If you grew up in the late 90s to early 2000s, it could be The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you grew up in the recent generation, it could be John Cena, maybe CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. Um, or it could be somebody that like brings like a certain kind of swagger with them, like Razor Ramon, Edge during his rated R superstar gimmick, Jeff Hardy. And that's another thing. It could be somebody that relates to like some kids may dress like Jeff Hardy, and so they see him and they like him, and they're a fan of Jeff Hardy. Um, and I remember it was like 6 weeks. No, no, not 6 weeks. Like more like 3 weeks before WrestleMania 24. Still in sixth grade, and I remember I wore a DX shirt to school. It was a free dress day. And I wore a DX shirt to school, and a lot of kids were like, "Hey, that's badass." I'm like, "Oh man, so we got more wrestling fans here." That was cool. I think I wore some wrestling shirts to school in elementary, but that was definitely the first time during middle school. I wore a DX shirt there, and ah man. Oh, by the way, about the whole wrestling being real thing, and so um, you had the whole Chris Benoit. Well, first thing was the Vince McMahon supposedly storyline in summer of 2007, where he was in a limo explosion apparently, but then he revealed he faked his death when he had to announce the passing of Chris Benoit. And of course, the storyline reason is that he faked his death because he wanted to see what people think of him, even though in reality he came out of his death because Chris Benoit. And I asked my dad about the whole thing, like, wait, how did he do all that, faking his death? And then my dad revealed to me about wrestling being staged, and it kind of confused me at first, but either way, I decided to still watch it. I thought it was pretty entertaining. Um, I thought it was pretty cool seeing guys do those big moves, and I mean, it is what it is, you know. And it's like if I stop watching movies because I figure out that the people in there are actors, you know. Like, come on, I can't do that. And I'm gonna get to something about that in a little bit, but then we go to seventh grade. Uh, that was the year I went to WrestleMania 25. If it's not up here, I'm not gonna try looking for it. Gosh, there it is. This is the program for WrestleMania 25. I don't know if I just said 75, but 25. Yep. Reliance Stadium. I think now they renamed it NRG Stadium, but I didn't even plan to go, to be honest, because well, I mean, I wanted to go, but you see, the thing is at the beginning of the year, I wasn't doing too good in school, and so my parents didn't really feel like I deserved it, and but I was improving and improving, and my mom got me access tickets for 25, so I was like, all right, I'll just go to Access. I'm not gonna be there at WrestleMania, so I guess I'll just watch WrestleMania on pay-per-view. And so my uncle told me he was gonna order it on pay-per-view, so I was like, all right, I'll just watch it at his house. But I went to Access, and of course that is where I got this program with my dad that day. And I'm trying to think. Oh, we were looking at some merchandise there, and there was a WrestleMania 25 shirt. I have it somewhere here, but I'm not gonna look for it. And it said I was there. Like, it had the WrestleMania logo on the front, and on the back it said I was there April 5th, 2009. And we got to remember, this is the day before WrestleMania. And he's like, you should get that shirt. And I'm like, looking like, okay, I guess. And I got it. I'm like, okay, why do I have this shirt if I'm not going to be there? And so then the next day I went to the movies with my dad. And this is WrestleMania Day 2009. And went to the movies with my dad and my brother. And as we were driving back to the house, you ever feel like something unexpected is gonna happen, Angel? Like something that would just like impact you or something like that. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, he's hinting this, I think. And then he said something about Palm Sunday, and apparently that's like something, or no, it was either Palm Sunday or Easter Sunday, and it was like that. Then that's what he said. It was one of those two, because he mentioned the resurrection of Jesus, and it was an unexpected thing, kind of. And so yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, he kind of trolled me there. When we got to the house, he's like, hold on, I got your birthday present. Come with me, I'm gonna show it to you. So we went, and he handed me two stubs, and I looked at them. It said WrestleMania 25, and then like I had like kind of like a shocked face. He's like, "You excited?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I've always wanted to go to an event with a sign." And he's like, "Oh, well, let's go to Office Depot. Let's get you a poster board." So yeah, I remember we went to Office Depot. We came back, still had a lot of time on our hands, and I made a sign. Even though I was always a Shawn Michaels fan, I didn't think he was gonna beat the streak at 25, and so I was all like, "I'll make a sign that says 17-0, R.I.P. HBK." So I was actually kind of representing both, though. I had a 17-0 sign, but I was wearing a DX jersey that day, and so we went, and I didn't think Shawn Michaels was gonna break the streak, but as the match was happening, I was like, "Oh crap, this could be the end of the streak," and I would have been happy with it. And it was a close match and everything, but Undertaker won, and it's all good. It was a great match, possibly the greatest match in WrestleMania history. But but when I first arrived there at WrestleMania, I was like looking around, like, damn, this is amazing. This is just a world I never thought I'd see myself in, And it was a feeling that I wish I could relive every single day, to be honest. And then we move on to the next year. Uh, this is where wrestling has its emotional impact on me. Um, there was well, obviously not. There was everybody knows about it. The rematch from 25, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, and that was in between the biggest rock and hard place ever. I didn't want the streak to end, but I didn't want Shawn Michaels' career to end, and so I'm thinking to myself, damn, oh my God, this is like, I was more confused than ever when that match was announced, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want. Oh my God, can we just not have this match happen? And then I thought to myself, all right, Taker, I like you, but I like Shawn Michaels way more, and your streak is over. 17-1. And or maybe I did that backwards. Seven. Nope. 17-1. But Undertaker won. It was a great match still, but I cried the next night when Shawn Michaels gave his retirement speech, and that's that emotional impact that it had on me. You know, just watching wrestling and liking this guy named Shawn Michaels, and then his career is over. But great career, great way to end it. Some people will be like, Angel, you're such a hypocrite. You know you'd mark out if Shawn Michaels came back and won the world championship today. I'm like, no, actually I wouldn't. I would be disappointed in that because I mean he's gonna win it and then he's gonna drop it to like someone else in the future, but like that won't be as great of an ending to his career as Shawn Michaels match against The Undertaker at 26. That was a great way to end his career. And that great match. Shawn Michaels. We're seeing Shawn as this guy that put it all on the line to do what nobody else could do. Well, at the time, and he couldn't do it, but he came so damn close. And I remember that summer I was like kind of going out with this one girl, and she texted me. I think it was the last Monday of June. It was a few weeks before the first ever Money in the Bank pay per view, and she asked me, hey, what you doing? I'm like, oh, nothing, just finished watching some wrestling. She's like, oh, that's awesome. Who won? And so I'm like, is she into wrestling? I'm like, not that there's a problem with it, but yeah, I told her about it anyway. I just told her about the main event. It was an 8-man tag match with Edge, Chris Jericho, The Miz, and Ted DiBiase Jr. going up against Randy Orton, R-Truth, John Morrison, and Evan Bourne. And I told her that the team of Orton, Truth, Morrison, and Bourne won. And she's like, "Oh, that's cool." So I'm like, "Yeah." And then we go into high school, and here's where I'm not really too open. Like, I still found some people that were wrestling fans, but of course, I'm not too open about it because, I'm like, what are the people gonna think of me, And I remember I watched WrestleMania 27 that year, live on pay per view, and I watched it at my dad's house. And after it finished, my mom picked me up and we were on the way home and my dad called me, and so I answered my phone and he's all like, how'd you like the pay-per-view? And so I'm like, it was okay. It could have been way better, but there were some great things about it. I'm talking really the only great match that there was Taker and Triple H, but there were a few good to okay things on that card. Otherwise it was not really all that great of a WrestleMania. But he's all like, we know it's fake, right? And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God. Then he's telling me, whatever you do, Angel, don't go to school tomorrow telling people that you watched that. I mean, if you have a group of friends that you discuss that amongst with, and then, that's cool, but just don't go over there telling everybody that you watched that. And I'm like, what makes him think that? What makes him think that I'm going to go to school and tell everybody at my school, hey, I watched WrestleMania last night? Like, what the? Oh, man. And he obviously has a problem with me being a fan because I was going to SmackDown back in March this year, and when he was here in Houston, and my mom told him about it, and I asked my mom, "Did you tell him about what I'm doing tomorrow night, which is SmackDown?" He's like, "Yeah." I told him, like, "Oh my God, Mom, I forgot to tell you. Don't mention that to him." He's like, "Why?" And I'm all like, "His ass has like the biggest problem with me being a fan still." And so she's like, look, okay, yeah, he told me what he hasn't outgrown that, and then she brought up a few points. She brought up, he was a fan of it at one point. Yeah, he started watching, and my dad started watching in like the late '80s, I think, and of course, last time we watched it was in 2011, but that was still 3 years into the PG era. And on top of that, he's got a really close friend of his, who still watches it and is still a fan. So I was like, all right, you make some valid points there, but I'm like. And here's the thing. One time I went to like a Halloween party back in like 2011, and apparently he was like driving around the neighborhood that I was in to like see if I was up to some shit. And so I'm like, oh my God, what if this guy's gonna drive around the Toyota Center all night just to stalk me? And so she's like, don't. And my mom was like, don't worry about that. He's not gonna do that. And fortunately, he didn't. Or maybe he did, but I just didn't see him. But nah, knowing him, I don't think he would. I don't think he did that. But yeah. And so once again, here we are in high school, and I've kind of lost a few friends thanks to my interest in wrestling, but I don't give a fuck, okay? Because you see, I remember it was in junior year after school. I would just like take off my uniform shirt and I'd put on one of my wrestling shirts. I would wear a CM Punk shirt or a Miz shirt or who else? Who else's shirt did I have? I can't remember who else's shirt I had, but yeah, I would wear one of those. And I remember one time I was like with a group of friends and well, friends, and one of them was all like, "Really, a wrestling shirt?" And I'm all like, "What? What?" He's like, "Dude, you haven't like outgrown that. It's okay to like it when you're a kid, but you haven't outgrown it." I'm just like, you know what? Eat a dick. But and one of my friends who I had been friends with since middle school, this one female, and I know she was a fan of it at one point too, because she would post like John Cena pictures as like her MCM or something like that, and or she would like some of my Facebook statuses if I mentioned wrestling in them. But shit, what did I say? Or some I was with her and another group of friends, and they were discussing wrestling, and then she's all like, that's fake, right? And she's like, I used to watch it too, but I mean it's fake. And I'm like, really, bitch? I mean, come on. And that's the thing about being a wrestling fan is, there's not any bad things about being a fan, but society, the society of non-wrestling fans make it seem like it is, Like I've heard it all, and I'm pretty sure anybody that is or has been a wrestling fan has heard it all too. And I'm not talking about people who, and when I say have been wrestling fans, I'm not talking about people who watched it until they found out it was fake. I mean, I'm talking about people who don't watch it anymore because, it doesn't interest them anymore. And I don't have any problem with those people. At least they're not the people that still watch it but complain about it every fucking week. But what I'm trying to get down to is that I've heard it all as a fan. Oh, it's fake. Everything is staged. Uh, it looks like male porn. You like watching sweaty guys in speedos and tights grab each other and throw each other around. Like, oh my god. Um, you know, I don't, when I watch wrestling, I don't see big sweaty guys grabbing each other. I see wrestling. I see the art of professional wrestling when I watch it. As for you people, you haters, if you see big, you're calling me gay because I watch big sweaty guys throwing each other around. But when I see wrestling, I don't see that. I see wrestling. If you see the big sweaty guys throwing each other around, then that kind of makes you fucking gay. I don't know what else to say. And then, they're all talking about, wrestling is fake, nothing is legit about it. I'm like, I would like to see them get into a fucking fight with a actual professional wrestler. If anybody, probably Kurt Angle. If any active, well, Kurt Angle's not really as active of a wrestler anymore, but still, I like to see them get in a fight with somebody like Kurt Angle, or I don't know, maybe Dean Ambrose. But you know, it's like they're saying, if they can't get a job anywhere, and then their last resort is to go to the WWE because apparently you don't need no skills and you're just gonna become an instant millionaire off of that. That can't happen. If that was the case, there'd be less homeless people in this world. And once again, the thing about wrestlers are fake and stuff. So I'm like, okay, if that's the case, then tell me why Brock Lesnar, a guy who made a name for himself, who became famous in the WWE, which is apparently a fake sport. Tell me how he could go to the UFC and beat the hell out of arguably the best UFC fighter of all time, Randy Couture. Explain that to me. And yeah, I'm not saying wrestling is real, but I mean, of course, the storylines are works and all that. It's all staged and all. But you take real risks when you step into that ring. I've never been in an actual professional wrestling match, but I know that those people, they take real risks when they step in there. I mean, and those people who say it's fake, I'm like, tell you what, get on the ladder and fall off of it. Get on the ladder and do like a swanton bomb off of it. If you land the wrong way on your neck, your surgery isn't gonna be fucking fake. And I hate that when they say, the blood is actually ketchup. Like, bitch, please. They blade, okay? They do what's called blading. Look it up. Uh, I've heard it all, and sometimes I'd be in doubt about being a wrestling fan, but then recently I've kind of gained my confidence about being a wrestling fan in front of my friends. I started talking about wrestling a little bit more on my personal Instagram, or not really talking about it, but like mentioning it, and I don't get no hate on there, thankfully. Uh, Turns out more people in school over high school. I figured out that more people watched it than I thought. I was going out with this one girl around like November of 2013, and I told my dad about her. And that same weekend, I went to go meet Shawn Michaels. That's the day I met my all-time favorite wrestler. And I remember my daddy's dropping me off, and he's all telling me, look, I know there's something like I know you had fun meeting Shawn Michaels, and I'm glad you did, but you're dating this girl, you kind of got to grow out of some of that stuff. She's not gonna want some guy trying to that's still in a childhood phase, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Dad? Really, fucking real? And then he's bashing my uncle about being a wrestling fan, one of my uncles, and I'm like, oh my god. But turns out that girl that I was going out with, turns out she was aware of wrestling. Um, she was a fan of it at one point. I mean, not that I'm not saying she doesn't watch it now because it's fake, but she's just not really that into it anymore. But she was a fan of it at one point, and yeah. Uh, so I fucking heard it all as a fan. I posted a status when WWE 12 came out in 2009. I posted a Facebook status talking about to pop in my new WWE 12. Gonna play as I can't remember who I said, and then I was like, whoop some candy ass, and I had a convo in the comments with somebody about wrestling, and then one of my friends commented saying, "No life, LOL." And I don't know if he put LOL just to say, I'm just kidding, man, but still, like, I hate when people say that wrestling fans have no life. I can't stand it. It gets on my nerves. The people that talk about, I'll admit, I used to watch WWE until I found out it was fake. I'm like, okay, so you still watch movies and play video games because apparently those are real? And that's another thing. Even though I'm a big UFC fan too, I lost a little bit of respect, just a little bit of respect for Dana White when he said, I think he said in a Maxim magazine interview, he said, WWE isn't a real man's sport or something like that. If you're a fan of WWE, then you like soap operas. Now, don't get me wrong, I was a fan of WWE too when up until I was about 15. But then you find out that that shit's fake and you want some real shit. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, Dana White. Damn, I just don't know what. Just I've heard it all, man. I've heard it all. And then we want to bash each other. Us wrestling fans bash each other for having a different opinion. I got on like a few Instagram fights earlier this week, and I'm like, you know what? Why are you fighting? Why are you getting into an argument with me, another wrestling fan? And when you're a wrestling fan too, you get bullied too. We shouldn't. I already blocked them, so it's too late. But I'm just saying we shouldn't be fighting each other. We should stick together and talk shit to those who are haters. Like if you don't watch wrestling because it just doesn't interest you, then that's cool. But if you say because it's fake, you need to just get the fuck out of here. I mean, wrestling fans, we're like a family. I mean, I don't know the exact way to word it, but yeah, we're like a family, and we need to not talk shit to each other, but talk shit to those who talk shit about us. Because apparently it's fake. I've heard it all as a fan. It's impacted me a lot throughout my life. You know, um, some of my favorite songs in this world happen to be wrestling themes. Like, you could listen to wrestling themes anytime, especially if you go to work out. Like, you could get pumped in the gym to Brock Lesnar's entrance theme, or you can get pumped to Kurt Angle's TNA theme. Not really so much his WWE theme, but I definitely get pumped to his TNA theme. But bottom line is, being a wrestling fan for 14 years already, it's it's obvious that I feel very strongly about the topic of what society usually thinks of us as fans, and I mean, we shouldn't be fucking bashing each other. We should be sticking together. And you know, I've heard it all. You know, as much it's impacted me so much throughout my life, and I've heard it all, but it doesn't matter because you know I'll still let it have a positive impact on me. And I can't say that it doesn't impact me as much as it did when I was a kid. I mean, if you saw my reaction when the streak ended, then you will know the impact it still has on me. But I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. That's how I feel life is for professional wrestling fans, you know. There's nothing bad about it, but the haters will make it seem like there's something bad about it, even though there isn't. But you know, you just gotta say fuck them. I am who I am. I like what I like, and I'm not gonna let some stupid fucking people tell me what to like and what to hate. You know. So that's just how I feel about it. Comment, tell me what you think. This is Angel signing out, and to all wrestling fans, as always, do you?